You are listening to the My Life Now podcast on iHeartRadio with special guest Morgan Lemaitre, founder of Park City Wealth Advisors. On today's episode, Morgan discusses how to build wealth wisely and plan for your financial future.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of My Life Now. I'm your host. My name is Chris Buscher. Today is another beautiful day up here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Just the sun is shining and just such a peaceful Wednesday morning. But I am being joined by a very special guest. This is Morgan Lemaitre. She is the founder of Park City Wealth Advisors. She has this wonderful organization. It's reaching so many people in the Utah area and beyond. And I just am so excited to be able to introduce Morgan to y'all and be able to let her share a little bit of her heart and what she's doing and how she's really impacting people right now in 2026. So I want to encourage you, spend the next few moments with us, listen intently, and hopefully all your questions will be answered. Morgan, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Now I know most of our audience right now, probably less than 10% actually are even being able to watch the video because they're listening from different platforms, and we're so grateful for all of the people listening to us from Apple and from Spotify and iHeartRadio and all these other places. But what y'all probably can't see that we could see, those of us watching the video here on Spotify, is you got such a wonderful background behind you. I could see it over there. Utah, it just looks absolutely beautiful. Are you from Utah? Have you lived your whole life there?
No, I'm originally from upstate New York, but I've been
Upstate
out in
New York. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit of kind of what brought you to Utah, and tell me a little bit more about why you started Park City Wealth Advisors and why you're passionate about it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I came out to Park City for, a job in finance after college a long, long time ago now.
Okay.
And man, I tell you, I think Park City chose me as much as I chose Park City.
Yeah.
There's just something about this community. It just attracts an incredible group of people who are driven, who have built things, who've taken risk. Who look at life a little bit differently and say, I choose this, not this happened to me.
Yeah.
The longer every year that I'm here a little bit longer, it becomes, more and more a part of me, and I fall a little bit more in love with it and the state of Utah.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you were able to find Park City and well, like you said, that Park City found you and really just embraced you. That's just such a wonderful thing to really get connected that way. Let me ask you right out the gate, because a lot of our listeners, they don't live in Park City, obviously. They're listening from all over. The vast majority here in the United States, but beyond. Does Park City Wealth Advisors, are they able to help and impact people beyond Park City as well?
Yeah, Park City Wealth Advisors is nationwide. Our clients
Awesome.
are all over the United States. We actually have some international clients as well. And so the name is really more about a lifestyle. It's about saying, I choose to be in charge of what happens to me.
Yeah.
And I choose to be in charge of my money and my experience as I walk through life.
Yeah, excellent. Now, let me ask you this. Why did you choose or get involved with finances and being a wealth advisor and all of this? Were you always passionate about this at a young age, or did anything change along the way? Help us kind of connect the dots, how you went from upstate New York to starting this wonderful organization that's impacting people throughout the entire country.
Yeah, Chris, there's two major themes in my life. One of them is that I have a deep desire to help people.
Yeah.
And the other is that I love community and I love bringing people together.
Okay. Absolutely. Now, how long have you had this organization?
Yeah, so I founded Park City Wealth Advisors in 2019.
Okay.
In the fall, right before the world got super interesting.
Yes, it did, didn't
it? Definitely. And we have just been rocking and rolling ever since. And actually, last year, we were named one of the top 10 fastest growing companies in the entire state of Utah.
Wow. That's very impressive for a lot of people maybe that are listening that don't know. Utah is very famous for its financial institutions and all of that. So to be named in the top 10, that is quite the accomplishment right there.
Yeah, thank you. It was such a cool kind of testimony to the number of families we've been able to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's touch on that a little bit. What type of families are you able to help? What type of services are you able to provide with this organization?
Yeah, so we focus on two main things. Families are at the core of everything we do.
Yeah.
And we often work with entrepreneurs and business owners.
Okay.
I'm really passionate about working with G1 Wealth, which means people who have created something on their own. They've created a company.
Yeah. Is that
They've led people.
Generation one? Is that what the G stands
Generation
for?
one. Yeah,
Awesome. Perfect.
like this is so near and dear to my heart. Like people have gone out in the world, taken great risk, kept their heads down, had an idea, put it into action. And oftentimes they've spent 20 years building a company. When that moment arrives where maybe they might sell their company or somebody approaches them, or maybe they're going to retire, um, they are a little lost.
Yeah.
And it's scary and it's not what they're really good at. They've spent the last couple decades building something where they're uniquely gifted in that field. And then to take that next step without somebody alongside of them and without the confidence that every stone is being, looked underneath and that they're gonna be able to be okay on the other side of this transaction. They're gonna be able to live off a balance sheet for the first time.
Mm.
Um, it can be, they can feel really lost and really nervous without that support. And that's often where our office comes in. And the second place we come in and help support families is when there's a spouse that might not be as involved as they'd like to be involved. Often it's the wife and they're not
Yeah.
comfortable, or, they haven't sat in a financial meeting before. They don't know where the money is, or they've delegated to their husband. We
Yeah.
spend a lot of time really focusing on making sure that spouse has a seat at the table, because I think it's so important that both people, both partners in the relationship are in the car, kind of
Hmm.
knowing where the destination is, knowing where they're going together.
Yeah, that way they're equally yoked. It's really good that you're able to kind of bridge the gap in case, maybe one of the spouse, maybe the husband, for the example, maybe didn't involve the wife as much, helping them kind of come back together. And so they're both on even playing field so they can understand the finances and everything going forward together. That's such a wonderful thing that you're doing there. One thing I noticed, you mentioned that you started in 2019, right before the world went crazy. And a lot of people were deeply impacted by what happened during 2020 during COVID, then with all the recession and everything. And the fact that you were not only able to start before all that, but you were not only even able just to survive through all that, but thrive and be named one of the top 10 companies in this. That's just a testimony, just for me to be able to hear the fact that you don't only just have the head knowledge, but you've been able to put this in practice year after year, going on several years now of being successful in this field. But let me ask you this. I imagine that it wasn't easy, with all the uncertainty. And I imagine some of your clients, when they come to you, maybe they have some uncertainty as well. What was some of the hardest moments in the early days of getting this off the ground running?
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely, building a client base while the world went into lockdown in a business where so much of what we're doing relies on trust.
Yeah.
And, trust I find is often formed when we're able to sit down next to somebody, look somebody in the eye, like understand, make sure they feel seen. And it's a lot harder to do on Zoom than it is,
Yes, it
you know,
is.
sitting alongside of somebody. So, and you kind of pair that with the backdrop of markets, in a little bit of a free fall and people are
Yeah.
scared. There's uncertainty. So without a doubt, those early days building were some of the most challenging.
Yeah.
On the flip side, they were also some of the most important, because it's in those periods of uncertainty, in market volatility, when people feel the most scared, that they need the most help and they
Yeah.
need a trusted advisor, a trusted partner alongside of them, helping kind of see the forest through the trees.
Yeah. And having that personal connection with each of your clients, like you were mentioning, I imagine that's not always easy to make that connection, especially when the world's saying, "Hey, at least 6 foot distance and only through Zoom or whatever." But I imagine your company has some values and some morals that maybe sets you apart from everybody else. What are some of those values that you have that really just defines who you are as an organization?
Yeah, it's super easy, Chris. It's all about doing the right thing every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah.
Often, the right thing is the hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And leaning into that hard thing to do the right thing, a lot of our clients, even though while they're, all over the world, all over the United States, I see a lot of them here in Park City and here in Utah. I've got a lot of local clients. And, doing a job every single day that we are wildly proud of, that we hold our head up high, shoulders back, and, can walk into the grocery store and see the people we've helped served and feel really proud of everything we've done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge,
Yeah.
And we have
Now,
another rule in our office, and
yeah,
this one's kind of fun, but, the other thing that we live by is unapologetic honesty.
I love that. I love that. That's very rare in today's world. Everyone wants to
It
tickle your
is.
ears and tell you what you want to hear.
It's tough, right?
Yep.
But we're dealing with something super important. We're dealing with money,
Yeah.
with people's finances they've worked their entire lives for.
Yeah.
And, we've got to be that sounding board and that voice of reason that this is working or
Yeah.
this isn't working.
Yeah.
And, nobody wants to run out of money. So let's
No.
make a plan before we get to that point and figure out what we need to change.
Yeah.
So there's some hard conversations that sometimes happen, and there's some pretty awesome breakthroughs that we're able to be part of too.
Yeah. Do you have maybe a testimony that you can share with us of one of your clients that you were able to help? One that maybe one of our listeners right now might be able to relate to without breaking any type of confidentiality or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Chris, one of the ones I'm most proud of is how
Mhm.
we help families and their kids, the
Okay.
next generation.
Yep.
And so while we work with G1 Wealth, a lot of times, I had a client just a few months ago that was going through an exit.
Hmm.
And they had these, pretty young kids, 10, 11, and 14 years old.
Yeah.
And they were about to make, $10 million
Mm.
in their transaction, which was, it's a tremendous amount of money
Yeah.
for most people, right?
Yep.
And they're like, well, we've got to tell our kids. And, our kids need to know. And, it really kind of caught me off guard
Hmm.
because, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You know, help me understand why you feel like your kids need to know that you're about to have this wealth event.
Yeah.
And they're like, because our lives are going to change. And it was really cool because we got to have this really curious conversation where,
Yep.
I got to ask them more questions about, you know, well, would your kid know the difference between $100 and $1,000?
Yeah.
Like, have they ever worked a day in their life?
Mm.
Will the
Yeah.
dinners be different at your house? Will the sports they participate in be different?
Yeah.
And, as we are kind of going through this thought process, it became clear that, well, nothing materially was going to be different in the kids' lives because the family had this happen.
Hmm.
And so, would it be helpful to, would it be a burden or would it be empowering for the kids to know this? Or would it be neither of these things?
Yeah.
And, it's really interesting kind of seeing some of the conclusions that were drawn at the end of this where, maybe it wouldn't be helpful to share it with the kids because maybe they wouldn't have the context to understand.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe what might be more valuable is kind of telling our kids the story of how we built what we built and the trials and the tribulations that we went through to achieve this and how proud we were as parents,
Yeah.
that we were able to build something that helped people.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
some real
so,
wise advice right there. I never would have thought about that myself. A financial advisor, coming down to that level and just simplifying it like that. It really just opens up your mind to a lot more aspects that you as an organization do.
yeah, it's so awesome. There's so many people that we all have these biases in our life because of something we might have seen or
Yeah.
heard, or maybe a story that a friend told us, from somebody at church, and so we kind of come to these conclusions that may or may not be true. And I think it's always important as we grow as humans that we're evaluating those. Um, and I think especially in the wealth area, sometimes people feel like they're supposed to do something. I'm
Mm.
supposed to give my kid a trust fund. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to pay for college,
Yep.
right? And these things may or may not be true depending on, your family values and who the kid is and if you're actually helping them. Because I have to tell you, Chris, one of the things I believe, deep down in my core is that our ability is that one of our greatest jobs as a parent is to never take away the ability or desire for our children to work
Mm.
and to go out
Yeah.
into the world.
Yeah. Help them find their purpose. I love that.
Purpose, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, otherwise you're dead at that point. You have no purpose to continue moving. I absolutely love that. Let me ask you, because I know that we're running out of time, but I did want to ask you this. I know that there's people that are listening to this podcast show right now, and they're coming from all different walks of life. Some that barely have a couple nickels to scrape together, and others that are, G1 or G2 wealth generations, that type of thing. What would you say to somebody in any of those situations right now, to be able to start planning for today, and how they could be able to reach out to you in the future, or another advisor, something that could really impact their life?
Yeah, have a plan.
Yeah.
A lot of us are working hard. We keep our head down, we're going through the motions, but we don't have an end goal, what we're trying to achieve. And if we don't know where we're trying to go, it's really hard to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so absolutely have a plan. And for folks that, might have some wealth accrued already, absolutely reach out to an advisor to help you. And for folks that don't, start thinking about what what the end goal looks like. And there's awesome tools, there's awesome calculators on the internet if you're just getting started. Create a savings plan and just start being consistent and disciplined.
Yeah.
Because it's just, there's no shortcut to get to the
there's
end.
Not everyone's going to win the lottery or have something just handed to them. It's takes work with it. And I'm looking at your website right now, and I want to compliment you on it. It's a phenomenal website, very well put together, just wonderful. And I also see that you're active on social media there as well. For any of our listeners that are ready to take that plunge, and they're ready to dive in and have their life completely changed by bringing in a financial advisor such as yourself onto the team, how can they best reach out to you? What's the best way to be able to get started?
Yeah, so definitely follow me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I'm always putting out financial tips. And then set up a meeting. We've got a link right on our website for a free 15-minute introductory discussion. And you better believe I'll point you in the right direction if and I'd love to help you if we're the right fit to work together. Our team will walk right alongside of you, and if you're not, leaning into that unapologetic honesty, I will make sure you get into the right hands. So,
Awesome.
So don't be shy. It takes a lot of courage to have that first conversation, but I promise, anybody listening, you won't regret it. You're going to feel empowered and pointing in the right direction.
Awesome. Well, Morgan, thank you again for joining us here on My Life Now. Once again, for all of our listeners, this is Morgan. She is the founder of Park City Wealth Advisors. They're in Park City, Utah, but they reach all over the nation and beyond. They're just doing a phenomenal job. They've stood the test of time. They've gone through the ringer when the world was going upside down, and they've still been labeled as one of the top 10 businesses in the state of Utah. So awesome for that. Congratulations, Morgan, on all your success and all the ways that you're helping people right now. Once again, for all of our listeners, this is Morgan with Park City Wealth Advisors in Park City, Utah. And we're going to make sure to put your website and social media and all the show notes and everything. So it's going to be a very quick, easy way for people to be able to access you. Thank you, Morgan, again for joining us on My Life Now. I hope you have a wonderful week.